I never really thought of that I would be smart enough or able to pass the FE because I took it a few times in college and I took it a few times right after. And the design section, it's very competitive. Everyone's getting their E.I.Ts and then their PEs. Something that I like to tell students that are working on this right now is that I love the on-demand videos that your course provides. When I came out of the test, I came out 100% sure that I had passed it. And that's the first time I've ever felt positive. And then what I noticed was I was making very tiny mistakes. I missed the negative sign here, or I didn't put an extra decimal here, or my units were a little bit off. It's been a hard journey to get to it. So, and I'm so happy that I got it. And a lot of people have been recognizing that at work for sure.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the Genie Interview series where I interview Genie Prep community members who've passed the FE exam. Today we're spotlighting Eliseo. Now Eliseo tried to pass his FE exam before and after college in 2006, but he was unsuccessful. Now in 2019, he found a new determination where he was inspired by his younger colleagues who were passing their FE exams. Now during the 2000 recession, Eliseo lost his job and he knew that he had to pass his FE if he wanted to recession-proof his career for the future. Now, Eliseo also found that his biggest hurdle was his lack of confidence. But this changed when he decided to ignore his negative thoughts, focus on passing, and shift his mindset. He studied hard and maintained a healthy, balanced routine, and he passed his FE exam. Eliseo's journey is a reminder that having a positive mindset, unwavering motivation, and a strong confidence are the secret to passing the FE exam. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Eliseo, so you graduated in 2006. Why did you decide to take your FE exam in 2023, or why did you wait so long to take it?
Well, like you mentioned, I graduated in 2006 and got into civil engineering career right away. But right after 2006 was a recession, so got laid off and got into another the city where I work at right now, and been there since. And to be honest with you, I never really thought of that I would be smart enough or able to pass the FE because I took it a few times in college and I took it a few times right after, and maybe a handful of times, we could say maybe 3 or 4, and I didn't pass it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm already have a job. I'm comfortable. I'm just going to keep working, and fortunately, I probably won't ever be an FE or a E.I.T at that time, right? So that's what I was. That was my mindset at that time. Moving forward, I moved divisions where I work at, and I saw it's very competitive. I first started in construction, then I moved into design. And the design section, it's very competitive. Everyone's getting their E.I.Ts and then their PEs, and then I kind of noticed, I'm like, okay, I'm falling behind. I need to get up to speed. Students are coming out of college with their E.I.Ts already, and they're like, yeah, why doesn't this guy have it already? So then I kind of started thinking, all right, I have to start working towards studying for it and passing it.
Wow, okay. So when did you get to design? Do you remember what year that was?
That was in 2015. Summer,
2015?
yeah, summer 2015. It was really exciting because it's the design and you're in the office. I wasn't in the sun and in construction anymore, heavy equipment. So it's all AutoCAD and design and MicroStation. So I started learning the ropes of how to become a design engineer.
Yeah, it's completely different beast than construction for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you said, if you are, because I worked actually in both, I worked in construction and also I used to work in a structural design firm. And I noticed in construction, they didn't really care about the E.I.T or the PE. But once I got into that structural design firm, PE was like, when are you getting your PE, right? Like it was like, you had to get it, right? So, okay, so you switched department in 2015. Now, when did you start preparing for your FE exam after that?
After that, I saw one of your videos and you talk about what's available online and what's free, what's not free. So I kind of was always just roaming around YouTube and internet and looking at all the other YouTubers that are on there to help out students. And then I took a test I think in 2018. So probably 2017, and I prepped as best as I can by myself. I had the big book that everyone uses. But again, it was very tough because I needed a more lecture to understand the basics. So around 17, 18, started my E.I.T journey.
Okay. Now, when you started studying for it, were you scared? Because you mentioned earlier that when you were in college, you took the FE a couple times, and then after you graduated, and then you failed it, and then you just didn't think you were smart enough. Did those thoughts came back again when you started studying 2017?
They're pretty much always been there. It felt like when you get to a hike and you look up and you see this huge mountain, and you're like, your whole team's like, yeah, we have to go all the way to the top. And I wasn't prepared, but that's how it felt. It was like a very hard challenge. Um, of course, frustrating. A lot of language that is not allowed to be said here when we're going over basic problems, and it's just was a frustrating time. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So how did you overcome that? Were you able to turn those negative thoughts to like, no, I can do this. Like, I'm gonna do this. There's no question. I'm gonna keep going.
I knew that I was going to keep going, no matter what. Um, and it was very tough because every time, I mean, I took the test a couple more times, and it was a fail, and it was a fail. But again, I didn't give up. I just kept going. It's been a long journey, honestly. And,
Yeah.
but you got to kind of keep saying, just keep going, keep going.
Okay. And then just to go back quickly to when you took it around 2006 when you just graduated, there was no FE Civil, right? You just took FE General. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's correct. It was all general book format. I remember it was kind of like a cool thing. Hang out with your friends right before you go in, and they all separate you in a big auditorium. So yeah,
Mm.
that's how it was.
Okay. So was it open book? No, right?
No, no open book,
No.
but
Okay.
just a booklet and then the reference handbook.
Gotcha. So it wasn't on computer. It wasn't computer
No,
based when you took it. Oh,
no,
oh, that's interesting. So you had the reference handbook as like a book, and then you would just go through it and stuff. Did you have
correct.
tabs on it? Did you tab it?
No, no, they give you
No.
the book there,
Oh, they
and
do. Okay.
yeah, everything. They even give you a mechanical pencil. I probably have a few of those. I've saved them somewhere. I don't know where they're at.
Okay, okay, awesome. It's good to just, compare like how much the
Yeah.
FE has changed over the years,
Oh yeah.
Okay, back to 2018. So you started studying on your own. You watched a couple YouTube videos. You got the Linder book. Is that the yellow book that you were
Yeah.
talking about? Okay. Did you always take FE Civil? So, when you started studying for your FE exam again in 2018, did you pick FE Civil right away, or did you choose FE other disciplines?
I took civil all the time because
Okay.
I was actually afraid of biology and chemistry. This and then the circuits for electrical, and I can't imagine. I mean, it was just like, no, that's too much for me at least.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I always recommend students if you're gonna take PE Civil, might as well study for FE Civil because you're gonna need that material again. So might as well go with FE Civil. Okay, so and then was there any other study material that you used during that time to study for it?
Later on, as 2018 finished, 2019, I remember about a smaller FE book, because it was very tiny, but it had all the material in there, and I tried to use that. But again, it was tough when you didn't understand some of the concepts. So yeah, I don't recall the name of it, but it was an FE prep book with questions and solutions right away, and I used that too. But yeah, it was pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because you've been out of school for a while and a lot of those concepts you probably never seen again at work. You've never used them, and so you just forgot them and you had to relearn almost like as you've never seen that material before, right? So it's like relearning the whole thing again. And so and that takes time and takes and then also it does help to have someone to help you learn that material. but at the beginning you started with books, and that would be frustrating, because like a lot of times if you're like confused about solution, or how did they go from this step to this step, right? You're like, how did this happen? And so you end up spending like an hour just trying to figure out that one problem, and then you look at the clock and you're like, wow, I spent like an hour and a half on just this problem and I haven't gotten. And so and in this cycle, and you just feel always frustrated with the whole process. Did I?
Yeah. Something that I like to tell students that are working on this right now is that I love the on-demand videos that your course provides, because you have a book in front of you, you're reading it, you get stuck, and that's it. You know, I know that I love the online videos because you go back, you rewind them. I mean, sometimes it takes me two, three times to rewind them and see them, but then I finally got the idea, the concept, like, oh, that's where I'm making a mistake, or this is what I didn't understand the first time. And with a book, it's not gonna talk back to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. This is one thing I love about your course.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Eliseo. I appreciate it. I'm glad that was helpful. And like you said too, this is I interviewed another student last weekend, and he graduated, I think, same time as you in 2006. And he just recently passed his FE as well. And he said that he had to go through the material a couple times. And the first time was just getting familiar with the material. Second time was really just, then you start grasping some of the concepts. And then third time, it's like reinforcing it, right? It's like those three phases. And it just takes time before things starts to click, before you go, oh, now I get why we use this equation. But first, you're going to miss so much, so much information. But the more you go through it, each time you look at the problem, you get more and more information about it, because it's been so long that you've guys seen this material. So it just takes time. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. So I don't know if you know this, but just give us an estimation. So from 2018, when you took it, to when you passed your FE, how many times did you fail it? I know you failed the FE in total 7 times, but I don't want to almost count those at the beginning, right? When you were in college and all that. I want to just fast forward to 2018 to 2023. How many times you've taken it?
Took it probably another two times. Two times, I believe.
2 times? Okay, that's actually okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so then tell us about the last time you took it. So what study material did you use? How did that went for you? How was you studying then?
Well, I had failed it probably like 2019 or somewhere around there. And then all I remember is that on Black Friday, uh, I think I saw a special on your website or on your YouTube channel. And I told my wife, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a course now. I'm kind of time. I'm done with studying on my own. And right away, she's back. She just 100% said, I'm forward at. Go get the course, do whatever you need to do so you can help you to pass this. And I got it in 2021 on Black Friday. And then I started studying in December 2021. And then I went a whole year studying. I went through your course in about 4 months. And then I decided to schedule my test. And then there was no test available until May. So it gave me another few more months to study. And then I took the test in May. And when I took the test in May, I still felt a little rushed. Like I wasn't
Mm.
100% feeling like comfortable with it. But when I came out of the test, I came out 100% sure that I had passed it. And that's the first time I've ever felt positive that I had passed the exam. And I was like so 100% sure. And I couldn't wait to get the result. And unfortunately, I got the result, and it was not a positive result. It was if I had failed it, but it was felt a little strange that I was like felt that I had passed it. So I didn't give up. I just kept going. And like you mentioned earlier, I reviewed the course all over again. And I think I reviewed a total of 3 times before I had finally a successful pass in February of this month or this year, 2023. And I finished the course the third time in December. And again, I was looking for an exam date right away. And it was all the way until the end of January 2023. So I was a little discouraged that I couldn't take it right away, but that was probably the blessing that deserved and needed, because every week, I believe, leading up to my test, we had a meet up with you on several topics, and those happened to be the topics I was reviewing. That was so strange.
Wow.
Hearing you talk to the students on your Saturday meetup was very motivating, also, and encouraging. And we also had a meeting, you and I. We talked about our the practice exams.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. That helped out so much, and definitely now I try to give that advice to anyone that's prepping for this exam. You need practice exams for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a journey, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't give up. Now, at any point, do you feel like, were you feeling, especially when you felt like I passed this test, right? You got out and you're like, wow, I did really well. I've never done this good on the FE. And then you found out that you failed. Did you feel discouraged? And what kept you going and not give up at that moment?
Well, at that time, I did feel discouraged. I'll be honest,
Yeah.
because I felt like I passed it. Like, so again, I mentioned I had some other colleagues. They're saying, "Hey, do the waiver. Just forget the test. Do the waivers. Start getting. I get compensated in my work, so a lot of people think about the money. It's just nice, but also our ultimate goal is to be a P. So I thought about it overnight, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go one more time, give it my all, study, and then take the test one more time to see if I can pass this exam finally.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad you didn't go for the easy option.
yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a reason why I didn't go the waiver route. There seem to be so many forms and people you have to get recommendations, and I thought that was a little more tougher, because first I have to find five references, and finding five references, I mean, we have several engineers where I work that can do that, but I mean, it takes a long time to write all the paperwork and everything. And I was like, oh, I think it's a little easier if I just focus that time into studying and then trying to pass the exam. And another reason also, my wife would tell me is, say something happened and we had to move to another state and they don't accept the waiver there. If they'll accept the EIT certificate, but not the waiver, what are you going to do? And she was like telling me, get the certificate. So appreciate her advice and her support throughout this whole time.
Yeah, she's a smart lady for sure. She got a good point there. That's true. Because you don't know what other states accept. Every state has their own requirements and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, can you tell us a little bit about what is a waiver, just for the audience, in case they don't know what that means?
So EIT waiver is a waiver form that you can fill out once you have completed 15 years of working experience in the field engineering field. So since I graduated in 2006, I was eligible for it in 2022. So I was able to fill out an EIT waiver, pretty much saying my 15 years of work experience is enough to be
Mm.
considered an EIT, um, but not passing the test. So that's what a waiver is. And then you're eligible to sign up for the PE, the 8-hour exam.
Okay, without having to take the FE, because you have that 15 years of
Correct.
experience.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe in NCES website, there's a flow chart that can tell you how to know if you're eligible or not.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, so going back to the last attempt you took your FE exam, can you tell us about the study material that you used to pass your last attempt?
The last attempt, again, it was for the last year, which was all pretty much throughout 2022, was the engineer FE prep course, which is now Genie prep,
Yeah.
and that's all I used.
Okay.
Um, as the months kept going on, you kept putting more material and more meetups talking about how do we retain all this information.
Mhm.
Like, and then somebody asked me that last week. Well, how do I retain math if I'm prepping and taking my test 7 months later or whatever. And I'm like, well, we got to always review what you studied
Right.
with your cheat sheet, your notes, and just review them. Take a couple 30 minutes out of your time and just review them in between your other sessions that you're doing. That way it still stays fresh in your mind and not because that happened to me the first time I went through your course.
Mm.
I got through the end and I was like, oh man, what how do I even do integration by parts? And I have to go back and redo the videos again because I didn't take notes. But after that, I learned taking notes on everything is the key.
Yeah. And did you do review sessions like I told you guys, like once a week, you just review everything that you covered that week? Did you try to do that?
I would do that all the time, but what I did, I have the three by five index cards method that works for me, and so I would write down all the key formulas, either notes, and then during my whatever time I had a little stack of 3 by 5 cards, and then I just started reviewing them like anywhere. We could be at the shopping market while we're waiting to get our food or whatever, just reviewing notes and notes. Yeah, so it just again keep drilling it in just over and over and
Yeah.
over repetition. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's like instead of being on your phone, you're being productive, like a
Yep.
little wait here, because that really adds up. You could review 15 minutes here, another 15-minute here. And then before you know it, you reviewed for like an hour, a total of an hour. And then
Yeah.
you're reinforcing everything that you have learned so that you don't forget it. And it does really help with recall too. When you're taking the FE, you remember a lot of that stuff that you reviewed for
Yes.
sure. Yeah. Okay. What were some of the things that you really liked about our courses and you felt that it really helps you pass your FE exam?
What I loved is that we can leave little comments on the videos. So we can leave a comment like, oh, I'm not understanding problem 3. At minute 4, I didn't understand this.
Mm.
Or and then your team would get back to us, Pranitha and Ram and everyone else that was on there behind the scenes working hard would get back to us and help us out with that problem. And definitely love the Saturday meetups. It's encouraging. Um, the topics that you talked about every Saturday, I don't know how that worked out, but it was related to what I was studying or was about to start studying. So I love that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's just I had no idea, but that's cool. You talked a little bit about practice exams earlier. I want to go back to that. How many practice exams you took total?
I took a total of 5 practice exams. Took your exam,
Okay.
and then the 2 books that you recommended by the 2 authors that each had 2 practice exams in it. So a total of 5. And the test was on January 31st. So every Friday, I try to take a practice exam. Try to mimic the same thing, like you mentioned. Try to isolate everything. Start at 8. Do your 25-minute break. Time it, and make sure you try to be as thorough and as possible as the actual exam. And I try to do that. That helped out a lot.
Okay, awesome. So for the practice exam, just for those who are watching this video, so I usually recommend the practice exam by Professor Islam and then Giram, and then you guys can check the link in the description below. Now, Eliseo, did you feel like mimicking the exam environment and timing yourself and having the reference handbook and all that, did you feel like that helped you get ready for your actual exam?
Most definitely, because I would go back to when I first would take the exam, or the first time I took the computer based exam, and I knew that you just got to go in and take it, but yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I was very kind of tired halfway through the exam. This time, knowing how to take the exam or what's expected of us, you definitely mimic the same thing. Start at 8, usually about 2.5 hours, 2 hours. I would always try to be around that range for the morning,
Mm.
the afternoon. Take my 25-minute break, and then start again and finish off the rest of the exam. So yeah, it definitely helped out a lot. Is because it's everyone says practice makes perfect, right? Well, we're
Yeah.
practicing and practicing over and over to take this exam. You have to train your mind and your body how to do that. Yeah. So it
For
helped out.
sure. Yeah, for sure. Putting yourself into that environment, like it just even mentally, you feel like, okay, I think I'm ready for this, for the whole thing. So it definitely helps. Do you remember your scores for the practice exams?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I remember the scores, and obviously the first one, I think I got like a 35, and I was very
Wow.
frustrated. Second one, it went up to 45. So it's a little bit better, but it still wasn't what I wanted to do, right? So not until I got to my third, fourth, and fifth, I started going up and up and up. So hit that 60%. I think the highest I got was 77 correct, which was still, I wanted obviously more because to have that cushion in case um, I didn't pass some of the other questions, but it would go up steadily, and that's why I think it's very important to take the practice exams, because you start practicing on your material, and then what I noticed was I was making very tiny mistakes. I missed the negative sign here, or I didn't put an extra decimal here, or my units were a little bit off. And if I would correct those mistakes, my score would be going up. So definitely help me open my eyes on and make sure that I'm double checking everything, because I would have enough time to go back and check those problems. So
Yeah.
that's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the silly mistakes. I call them silly mistakes because it's just like you don't pay attention because you're so focused on the big picture. You're so focused on the like the equation and then plug it in and then you forget to really check those small things, and then those things could easily just like you go from having the correct answer to the wrong answer like easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're very important. And units, I always tell students, like I always tell you guys, units, and we try to cancel all the units as much as we can in the course too, because I want you guys to get into the habit, right? When you're solving problems, just write meters, kilograms next to it, like it doesn't hurt, and then it's just going to take you like another 5 seconds to cancel and make sure your units add up. So many times I'll be solving a problem like when I'm creating like problems for the course, and then I would cancel my units, and I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't add up to the right unit. I did something wrong, and it happens to me all the time. And then I go back and I'm like, oh my god, this is what I missed, right? And so it's so important. It can really help you to catch your mistake. So yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. Okay, so on your last attempt, let's talk a little bit about your like the way you were studying, and just like how many months did you study for it, and how many hours did you study per day?
Um. Boy, my last attempt was, I got to fail in May. So pretty much did take the rest of May off because I took the exam in early May. So I didn't start back up until like mid June, and so that I'm gonna say it's gonna be a good 6 months that I studied from, again, the start all the way to the finish, completing the course. And I think I completed it in early December, but I had another 2 month, 5 and 6 weeks or something that I had to wait because of the exam not being available. So that's where I started just reviewing, using doing the practice exams and all that.
Okay.
So about, I would say 6 months, 7 months that it took me just to do one final review and pass the exam.
Okay. And then how many hours did you study?
Oh, hours. So I would get home, take a break, long day at work. So it start like around 6. I like to go 3 or 4 hours, so 6 to 9 or 6 to 10. We have to get up early to start our day. So if I went a little bit past that, then we would have a rough time to get up and start the day. So usually about 3, sometimes 2, just depending on how I felt. Our body tells us sometimes that we need to rest. So um, definitely we try to listen to that too. But 2 to 3 in afternoons, and then on Saturday, Sundays, that was the big day. So I would go about 5 or 6 hours, and I would start my day at 7 a.m. I loved going in the morning because everyone was still asleep. There's usually would get like 2 hours of quiet time, and that was pretty awesome. Around 9:30, 10, people start getting up and noise starts happening. I have a family there. But Saturday, Sunday was the big days, and that's where I would try to do the majority of the studying.
Okay. So you did that for like 6 to 7 months every day, 2 to 3 hours, and then 5 hours Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, because there's sometimes in the week that I didn't get a chance to review, so I would have to push it to the weekend. So, but majority I try to do at least 2 hours during the week and 5 hours in the weekend.
Okay. That's pretty good to schedule. I think it's like, there's definitely consistency. Did you feel like at any point you were starting to feel tired or unmotivated, or was it just like constant, like you would just show up and study?
I would show up and study. It was very weird because I felt like, oh, I want to start studying it. And the day I didn't study, I felt weird not studying because but
Mm.
knowing that I needed to just get this work done. I also did feel a little pressure that I was kind of um, neglecting or putting my family second because our family would hang out and do the stuff on the weekend,
Mm.
Saturdays especially, and I'm like, well, I can't go. I have to stay here and study. um, During my breaks, I would see friends on social media doing awesome activities, and I was like, oh man, I wish I was doing that. But again, we had a goal to reach, so I had to put that aside and just finish out the goal.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, especially the family thing. I think a lot of people could relate to that when you have family and you work and then you come home and then you don't really spend that much time with your family because you got to study, and then you start feeling a little bit guilty that you're not being with your family. But that's a hard one, and I always recommend to students to just find a balance, right? We always talked about that, and then also to like when you are spending time with your family, try to be in the moment, in the present, be with your family. Don't think about studying. And when you're studying, try to focus on your studying and try not to feel guilty for not being with your family, because it just doesn't help really. It just makes you feel bad the whole day and doesn't help you in any way. And it's just temporarily. You just got to remind yourself this is just going to be temporarily. And once I get my FE, it will all be worth it. And then my family can see. I think that's another one too, because it's like if you have kids and your kids seeing how hard you're working. I mean, you're sending such a great message here. And then, you pass it and they see your achievements and accomplishments. I mean, I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I noticed. Well, my daughter, she would see me studying all the time, and she would see me study so much. Now I ask her sometimes, we're just joking. I'm like, hey, what's gravity? And she's like 32.2 or 9.1, and all our friends are like, what the? How does she know that? I'm like, well, she hears me talking about it all the time, and especially for a whole year when we're doing the preparation for the EIT. So, and then seeing her reaction when I passed, that was real priceless. Like she's like, oh my God, Daddy did it. And so
Oh,
I like to do that so she can know that anything that she does later on in the future, she can do it with just hard work.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's such a great message to send to kids for sure. That's awesome. Is she interested in being an engineer?
She is interested in becoming a NASA engineer or a scientist. So
Wow.
see where that leads. And then she's also talked about being a lawyer. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll, hopefully any of those, that's pretty awesome, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. They both sounds great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about a little bit before your exam. So, tell us, the day before the exam, couple hours before the exam, how were you feeling?
Well, our advice was not to do anything um,
Mm-hmm.
exam related, but of course, I took out my cards and just went through them a little bit. But I did try to just have a very relaxing day, and then go to sleep early because I was going to get up early. My test center was about 20, not about 15 miles away or something, but there's a lot of traffic in the morning.
Mm.
So I definitely had to get up early, prep for that, think of what I'm going to get for lunch. And I went through a drive-through and got some lunch from Starbucks. So I had that ready for when I came out of the exam. And it was really cold too because it was in the winter time. So I had to be
Mm.
ready for that. Go in layers because I think the test center is very strict on what you can wear. You can't wear a watch or the long sleeves or hoodie. It has to be through their rules. So I prepped all that morning. I had extra 2 calculators because you never know,
Yeah.
stuff happens like that, and you have to be prepared. So I had my wife's calculator as a backup, and then we just checked in and walked in, and then it was really when I left though. At halftime, I was able to go to my car and review the afternoon, and then came back and took the rest of the day. And then I left the test center, and I told the lady at the test center, well, we'll see you again next time. And I wasn't sure. Uh, I kind of wasn't. I was a little bit in doubt that I was going to pass, honestly. And but the lady said, "Yeah, I'll see you next time for the 8-hour PE."
Oh.
And I was like, "Wow, that's really cool. That lady's already, motivating me that I'm going to pass." And then so that was a very exciting moment that I didn't expect, but got from the test center.
Yeah, that's pretty cool how she mentioned that. Yeah. And she was right. You did pass, which
Oh
is
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. All right. So do you remember how much time did you spend in the morning and how much in the afternoon section?
Yes, I think it took about 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes for the morning. Because I did want to also dedicate more time in the afternoon. That I noticed that in my prep practice exams that I was kind of maybe running out of time. So I
Mm.
definitely didn't want to run out of time in the actual test for the afternoon. So I tried to do a little bit over 2 hours in the morning, and the rest was in the afternoon.
Okay. And you finished your exam on time?
Yes, I finished with 15 minutes to spare. So I used up
Wow.
everything. I try to take my time in the afternoon for sure and just review flag questions because there were some questions that were a little bit tougher than I expected. So I would just flag them and go on to the next one. And then I got an easy one. So it kind of made up for the time. As you have another video where you talk about the day of the exam, and yeah, it was the same thing. Just flag it and go because you don't want to spend too much time on one problem and then you don't even get it right. So you definitely want to get the ones you know how to do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mhm.
How did you find the exam? Did you find it fair? Was it a little bit more difficult than you expected?
I got a few questions that I was a little bit surprised,
Mm.
and I've never saw them in your course, or I didn't see them in the other test books. So it was a little. I got a few problems that were a little bit different. And again, it's the NCES trying to always pitch a different type. Definitely, we got a lot of the conceptuals.
Yeah.
Uh, I know that the first time I took the Genie Prep course, I didn't really pay attention too much to conceptuals, but then yeah, they kept coming up and they're coming up, and I know that that's another way now that they're going at doing conceptual questions, and it's a fair question. We should know why without having to solve a problem of what they're asking.
Yeah, this is why, I always mention it's important that you guys focus on the concepts as well and not just about just grabbing the equation and plugging the numbers because everybody knows how to do that, right? It's just really understanding why you're doing it and understanding the concepts. We also launched a conceptual practice exam. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, that just jealous that I didn't get to take it,
Yeah,
to use it, but that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's
yeah.
and to add a little bit to it, and the PE prep I'm doing right now, we talk about a lot of conceptuals, and the instructor says, "Hey, make sure you write this down because it's probably going to be on your test." So definitely, it's just a continuation from your course.
Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna say, like, when you get to a good place in your PE preparation, feel free to go and take that practice exam. You have access to it for free. We gave it for free to you guys. And so you will be able to take it. So take it. And then something also I tell students is go through the solution because there's a lot of good information in the solution. So we gave in-depth solution. So it's a lot of concepts there so you don't miss anything. But
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
Definitely do
problem. Okay, all right, awesome. Okay, so and then going back to some questions that you mentioned, there were some questions that you've never seen before. And then, I think there's like the NCS does that, where it's like there will be few questions where it's like you've never seen before, and I think they just test them out to see, because here's the thing, if you take a look at the diagnostic report and you add up all the numbers, it gives you 100 questions, but the exam has 110. And so there's 10 questions where it doesn't actually go to your score. It doesn't account for your score. And so those questions are there just to test them and see how the students are going to do on them. So if a lot of people just score really bad on those questions, then they don't have them on the next exam. But if a lot of people are doing okay, then they might add them on the next bank of questions. Does that make sense? And so, and you never know what are those 10 questions are. So it's just like, nobody knows. And so, but yeah, so, something I always say, like, you don't know what you're going to get on the FE. Nobody knows what you're going to get on the exam. And that's why you want to be as much ready as possible. That's why you don't want to skip anything, right? Just cover as much as you can, just because like, you don't know which weird questions you might get that you might not be able to solve. So, but I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. A week later, you found out that you passed your FE. How did that feel?
Oh, amazing. I still remember I was with my mom and we were in Long Beach in the Starbucks, and we ordered our food, and I told my mom, hey, well, you know what? It's already 7 something. Let me check see if there's a score. And I just I screamed a little bit. I screamed a little bit. I couldn't believe it. I was very almost started crying. I didn't. I kind of held it in. I don't know how, but my mom's like, "Did you pass?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, passed." And gave her a huge hug. I contacted my wife and kids and let them know, and then all my other colleagues that have been supporting me through the past year and a half on this journey. And yeah, so that was very exciting.
That's awesome. How did the FE impacted your life after passing it?
Well, there's a lot of celebration. So all those days of not being able to hang out and do fun activities definitely has helped out. It's helped me out at work. A lot of people notice that I've been on this journey for the past few years, and I finally got it, and I can see their reaction was like, congratulations, because I know you've been working on it and you've been telling me that you've been working on it, and now you have something to prove that you've passed it. And one guy told me, he looked at right in my eyes, is like, you told me you were going to pass and you did, and that's amazing, congratulations. And I was like, wow, thank you, appreciate that. And he's been one of my big supporters at work too, so it was awesome.
That's awesome. And did you feel like you're more confident now at work? Did that impact your confidence in any way?
At work, I've always been confident at work. I know I didn't have the certificate at that time, but um, I felt more like complete, if you want to say, because like telling you, everyone has the EIT or an FE, and I notice people are just thinking like, oh, he doesn't take engineering seriously, or but with this is a little steps showing people that yes, I do take it seriously,
Yeah.
and it's been a hard journey to get to it. So, and I'm so happy that I got it, and a lot of people have been recognizing that at work for sure.
Yeah. It definitely makes you more like credible as
Yes,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. When we talk about certain like structural stuff or geotech stuff, I'm definitely can add it to the conversation now and use more technical terms than before.
Yeah. Because now you have all that knowledge. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that we needed all these terms for buildings like live loads, dead loads,
Hmm.
wind, earthquake, all that stuff. I think we all know that that's like common, but they're not in the engineering side like the way that you guys teach it. So
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned earlier that you are preparing for your PE. Can you tell us a little bit how that's going?
that's going good. I'm started with the breath review. And a lot of the breath review is pretty much Genie Prep afternoon civil review. I mean, there's a couple things that they've added that I didn't get to see in Genie Prep, but the rest is the same. It's just taking your afternoon course and just going all through it.
No?
So it's been nice, and I'm really hoping that that preparation that I've done in the last year and a half with Genie Prep is just makes it super easy to pass the 8 hour breath. And then I'll start prepping for the breath or the depth next week. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to hopefully schedule the exam for the fall time. So we have enough time to prep for everything.
Okay, great. Sounds great. Like, we would love to have you back in our channel and interview you for the PE once you get that. And then you
That'd
can,
be great. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you're gonna do great. I have no doubt. That's amazing. I'm really glad that you started studying right away too. It's something I also try to recommend to students just because, you still have a lot of the material fresh. You're like in that groove of studying, right? You're already on that momentum. And so might as well just like continue the whole journey, get your right, go to that finish line and then get your PE as well. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I actually felt a little guilty not starting sooner because I could have probably started an extra month before, but again, needed that extra break just to be with the family and hanging out with them. So definitely it wasn't too bad starting back up again, but for PE. And but yeah, it's just trying to get to that journey. I feel way confident now that I can be and will be a PE in the near future, especially after taking your course and passing the E.I.T. So definitely, I know that we can do it.
I am, yeah, I'm sure you're gonna do great. I'm really excited for you. I can't wait. We're gonna get an email soon from you that you got your PE. I have a feeling that's gonna happen. All right, I have one more question for you. So if a student comes up to you, a student who's in similar situation as you, been out of school for a while and trying to pass their FE, and they ask you to list 3 things that really helped you pass your FE exam, what would you say to them?
Definitely the first one is the right study material. So I always recommend your course to everyone that is in that situation. Two is time. You got to find the time. And I know we have very busy lives. We have work, we have family, we have other extracurricular activities, but there's got to be some time dedicated to that. And I heard so many other stories from other people talking about waking up at 4 a.m. and studying 2 hours, and then they go to work, or coming home after work and studying, or whatever your schedule is. You have to find that time because that's how you put in the work to achieve this goal. And a third one would just be something that I didn't really take into consideration is give yourself the time and the
Mm.
and the wellness that you need. During my study time for the year, my wife would say, "Hey, I'm going to go on a walk. Do you want to go with me?" And I would say no. I would say no because I thought I'm going to spend an hour or two going on the walk and coming back that I could be using to study. But towards the end of your course prep on a Saturday meetup, you talked about um, getting your mind ready and your body ready, and you recommended go and take that time. So that last month when I was doing my prep, she would ask me, "Hey, I'm going to go on a walk. Hey, I'll go with you too." And I took that 1 hour, 2 hours to break, and it helped me clear my mind, get it ready for when I came back to start getting back on track on where I left off. And that's helped out so much. So I noticed right now she's doing the same thing, and I keep telling her no because I'm kind of trying to pass the 8 hour, but I gotta go back to those basics and make sure I take care of myself and my mind.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what, Eliseo, another thing too, I think it depends on where you are with the journey, right? There might be like a month or two where you're like, you know what, I just want to really focus on this right now. And then, in the third month, you might be like, you know what? do want to go for that walk, right? It's all about what you said earlier, listening to your body. And a lot of times, like if we do that, our body a lot of times tells us what we need. And so if we just take some time and listen to it, we would know when we need that walk and when we wouldn't need that walk, right? So it's just about that, listening to your body and definitely finding that balance. Because, sometimes something I realized that a lot of students would do is that when they start preparing for the FE, it's like, okay, my whole life is going to stop and I'm just going to work and go crazy with studying. And it's like, that's good. That's not really going to help you process a lot of the information. So you got to make sure you take care of yourself as well and, take a couple of breaks. So I'm really glad you brought that point up. That's great.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people have been asking me at work, hey, what do you recommend or what do you do? But definitely, for one part of the waiver, yeah, if you can get it, that's great, but you're still gonna have to do the work. So you might as well be a EIT. So and then definitely the mental health and the physical health, we definitely need that because I was really kind of ignoring that a lot.
Yeah.
And but what good does a PE do for you if you're not healthy or
Right.
anything? So definitely you have to have that balance and taking your course has helped out a lot. So I really appreciate you and your team.
Thank you, Alicia. That means a lot. We really appreciate it. Thank you for putting the time and effort to work really hard. It's really impressive what you have accomplished, and I'm super happy for you. When we got the email that you passed your FE, I mean, the whole team was rooting for you, and we were super excited. So, congratulations! We're really happy for you, and thank you so much for taking the time and doing this interview with me. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, Kenza, and everyone else. Appreciate you and your whole team. And anyone that's watching this, you can do it. You will do it. Just put in the time and the effort and then use this course. You will be an EIT in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.